Hey, me and Matt here. Guest with me is my friend Kyle, and he's also a fellow wrestling fan.
Yes.
So today we're gonna be doing welcome to the 1-year anniversary of the Wheels of Fury show.
Yep.
And beside me is Gorilla Monsoon, to my Bobby Heenan, Killer Kyle, and wow, can you believe it's been 1 year?
You know, when we first started this thing, it was interesting because we weren't really sure how it would turn out and, what all we would put into the show, and didn't really have a general idea of what we would do. It was just kind of get together, talk about wrestling, and see what happened. And here we are 1 year later, and it's gone further pretty well.
Well, yeah, so I moved here, I'd say 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Thought it was 3, but apparently it's just 2.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this at the time for 10 years. Well, first of all,
Yes.
I heard about you and that you're a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And an MMA fan, and I thought, oh, can't wait to meet this guy. So I did. And again, just one day a year ago, I thought it would be kind of cool to do a video together. And that was, of course, the FASTLANE video. And from there, I think you mentioned that you wanted to see if we could do a show together. Just to talk about wrestling and stuff like that.
Yeah, you had told me about you were a YouTuber. You would do videos talking about different things wrestling, whether it be do a review or talk about something that happened on Raw, SmackDown, whatever. But you weren't fully confident in what you were doing as far as content was. But you were also thinking about, like, wrestling knowledge, and maybe not really having a full, wide scale of wrestling knowledge. And I said, hey, I'm fairly knowledgeable about wrestling. I've been watching wrestling since I was, 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there. And I'm 28 now, so I've been watching wrestling for quite a number of years, and so
Yeah.
my wrestling knowledge is quite vast. And I also had seen DVDs and have DVDs on stuff early on, because, like, I was born in '89, so my wrestling knowledge basically started in, like, the early to mid '90s. So I wouldn't necessarily know anything about, well, pre-'89. So me being a wrestling fan and getting wrestling DVDs and seeing things like the first WrestleMania, the first Royal Rumble, learning about wrestlers that were before my time, and kind of at around when you were younger.
Yeah.
85 to 90s and into the 2000s. And so we had talked about it, and I said, hey, get together, hang out, and talk about wrestling, and then maybe, you know, do a video.
Yeah.
And see where it goes. And like I said, here we are 1 year later, and it's been quite the journey. And you know, it's funny to think about, because you said the very first video we did was a FASTLANE review.
Right.
And next Sunday is FASTLANE. So I'm sure that Friday we will do another FASTLANE
yeah, for sure.
review. So in essence, next Friday, a week today, you could say, it'll have kind of come full circle.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't really know what you meant by confidence, though. But,
like, you were... How do I say this? You were kind of looking for a way to take your channel to the next level.
yeah, oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're right, you're definitely right. And here's the thing, so, like, I'm 33, so
Yeah.
I started watching wrestling, like I've mentioned all the time, in late 92, so probably June or July. So my wrestling knowledge, it's mostly just WWF based.
Yeah.
I've seen not ECW, WCW
Yeah.
here and there, not a lot, so like I know guys like Big Fan Vader and Diamond Dallas Page and
Yeah, you're familiar with WCW, but you didn't watch it from, like, when it first became WCW until, like, it closed.
right, yeah. So
I watched WCW on pretty much a regular basis.
yeah,
I don't know if I ever saw a Monday Night Show. I think I saw, like, some Thunders and Saturday Night Main Events and stuff like that.
yeah,
But I became quite familiar with WCW and a lot of the guys that were in the WCW.
yeah,
Like Matt said, Big Van Vader, Big Boss Man, who was Guardian Angel at the time, and Sting, and Diamond Dallas Page.
Johnny B. Bad.
Yeah, Johnny B. Bad.
By the way, when he came to WWF as Mark Merrow, I automatically, from reading the magazines, knew that it was Johnny B. Bad.
Yeah, just a different look.
Exactly.
And then he cut his hair shorter.
Yes. And then, of course, Mr. Wonderful, the first time I ever saw him was in WCW.
Yeah.
So when I saw WrestleMania 1,
Yes.
I was like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, it's kind of funny how that works, though, because my older brother, I don't even know if he was a WCW fan necessarily, but I got my start from him.
Yeah.
And he's 2 years older than me, so he grew up during the Hogan, Andre era.
Yeah.
So it was kind of interesting just to read his magazines and take in all these wrestlers that I would eventually watch on TV. My parents weren't exactly sure if that would have been a good idea for me to get into it.
Right.
I would have did anyways. And you know what? I missed most of like 96, 95, and most of 97, but even then it was like bits and pieces. So
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up watching it, and it kind of evolved with the times.
Oh yeah,
Because
for
as
sure.
soon as I became a teenager, is when they started to do the Attitude Era.
Yes.
So
Yes, see, when you were younger, you're kind of like me. Your first memory of wrestling was like, essentially when you were old enough to get into wrestling and start watching wrestling, but you don't know much prior to that?
No, well, the first thing I do remember is a promo cut by Ultimate Warrior and Undertaker versus Papa Shango and Berserker. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But then, you know, watching it off and on, it was just me and my brother anyways. It was Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior and Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
And Tatanka and all those guys.
Oh, yeah.
And another, I think what really did it for me was watching the Royal Rumble 90.
Yes.
With my uncles and my dad and my brother. And just like, wow, it kind of is exciting.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that's basically it. Like, that's when I started, and then my older brother sort of liked it, but not as hardcore as myself and my brother, Jay.
Yeah.
So there it is. I mean, that's kind of my history. So when I met Kyle, not only did I have someone to talk about wrestling with, and, you know, he being younger than me, knew a hell of a lot more than I did.
Surprisingly, but
You know,
yeah.
Like, I didn't grow up with really AWA or, you know, WCCW or NWA. I saw bits and pieces of AWA on certain parts sometimes, but yeah, just not really knowledgeable of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like NWA, AWA, WCCW,
Mid-South Wrestling.
Mid-South Wrestling, and Mid-Atlantic Wrestling.
Georgia Championship
Yeah.
Wrestling. And yeah. So that's really interesting just to get to talk about that and try to watch a lot of stuff. Even when we did a Christmas episode, I tried to look at Christmas episodes of various, and that's why I'm glad that the Memphis Wrestling episode wasn't like just matches, really. It was more or less, and that was the cool thing about going and looking at that kind of stuff, is, you know, the 70s is probably one of the best decades for professional wrestling, because that's where the real shit was. You know, big, strong guys.
Oh, yeah. Like, I remember seeing classics on demand and watching various old stuff. And then, of course, when the WWE Network came around, watching, like, WWE from the 70s. And getting to see either WCW pay-per-views you hadn't seen before, or getting to see WCW pay-per-views again that you had watched before, and then you could be like, oh yeah, I remember that match, and I remember that, and if you forgot something, you'd be like, oh yeah, that happened, and all this other stuff.
We were just talking about, we were watching Smash and watching Mixed Match show.
Yes.
And it was The Miz, and he's got that whole thing, and I said it to Kyle, you know, back then it was like, parents were afraid of their little kids going, hey, I got 2 words for you, suck it. And
yeah, we were watching the Mixed Match Challenge, and it was Asuka and Miz against Finn Balor and Sasha Banks. And we were watching it, and then we got into a conversation of the Attitude Era, and things they did during the Attitude Era, like, you know, the DX doing the whole suck it thing, or
Stone Cold's middle fingers.
And, Stone Cold flipping people off, and Kurt Angle with the milk truck, Austin with the beer truck, Austin dropping a concrete slab thing on the DX Express, Austin filling up Mr. McMahon's convertible with cement, Undertaker crucifying people. Then, you know, we get into, even into matches, like the Buried Alive matches and the Inferno matches.
The First Blood match.
Yes.
3 Stages of Hell.
Yeah.
But just the whole shift that it took started back watching it, it was like, we're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you look at comedy or things they did for comedic purposes throughout the Attitude Era and things they do for comedy nowadays, it's yin and yang.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you'd have Kurt Angle playing the guitar and saying, like, Jimmy Crack Corn, or Kurt Angle and Edge, and Edge would be like, hey, I've got some cool pictures. And he'd be showing them to Kurt on the back and be like, you suck. Oh, yes, I really suck. And all this other stuff. Or, you know, Mae Young giving birth to a hand. And,
was pretty out there.
oh, yeah.
You know, the milk truck, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of really cool stuff back then, you know, that I can't believe. Like, as a teenager, not understanding that DX is in the middle of the ring and you got Triple H with a squirt gun. And he's squirting milk, but it's pointed to his crotch, so it looks like cum, basically.
Yeah.
Back then, you know, it was like over my head.
Right.
But it was kind of like, yeah, I understand why parents. But when you see the Miz go, well, my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut. You can see a little kid imitating that.
Yeah. Before the match started, the Miz was doing that, and the audience was getting right involved with it and basically repeating. He was saying word for word. And I said to Matt that I seen a video on YouTube, and it was, this was after the 25th anniversary of Raw. They were at the Manhattan Center, and it was, you know, all the guys in the ring, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, X-Pac, Razor, New Age Outlaws, Balor Club, and Miz comes out and he puts his hand up, and before he can even say that catchphrase that he's come up with now, you can hear everybody in the audience just go quiet, and it's like, huh, interesting.
It's a different dynamic. You have, because it's a Facebook show, so it's like, it's also for charity, so it's almost any charity event when people get together and they're having a lot of fun, and that's kind of what it seems like. Like, they show their characters, but they're having fun. Like, Asuka is kind of goofier than you would normally see.
Yeah. They're still wrestling and having matches, but it's not taken as seriously as what you see on Raw or SmackDown or NXT.
Yeah. Or 205.
Or 205.
Which, by the way, is fucking kick-ass now, man.
Yeah.
I mean, since Derek Maverick.
Derek Maverick. Formerly Rockstar Spud.
Exactly.
But, yeah. And I said this to Matt. Maybe 205 getting a general manager, or, a general manager position for a former wrestler, whatever, is the thing they needed to get pointed in the right direction. Like, it was good, but it was kind of all over the place.
It was a very much hit and miss show.
Yeah.
And that's not really what you want. I mean, NXT is a fuck of a lot better than 205. And obviously, but Cruiserweight Classics, you know, going from there to 205. 205 needed to have its own. I mean, they have their own championship, but I wish they had more. And for some reason, the Derek Maverick is the person to do that. To come in and say, no, you're not gonna be doing this, you're gonna be furious, and you're gonna kick some ass, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what we're seeing right now, which is weird, because why weren't they like that before? I don't get it.
I think the main thing with 205 Live was it was linked to Monday Night Raw. Because you have the Cruiserweights participate on Monday Night Raw, and then they'd also do 205 Live, and then you'd have kind of like Kurt Angle helping make the decisions on 205 Live, and it was just not very well meshed together. Once Derek Maverick came in to the picture, he essentially has made 205 Live a separate show.
Yes.
Like, you'll probably still see Cruiserweights on Monday Night Raw, but 205 Live is 205 Live.
Right.
It's not 205 Live associated with Monday Night Raw, it's just 205 Live as a whole.
Right.
And it's same with NXT. Yes, NXT is a developmental brand, if you will, but it's its own separate thing. It's linked to the WWE, but you don't see it like that.
No.
You see it as its own kind of like wrestling promotion.
Well, the thing is, too, I mean, of course, they have their own championship, but they've got their own tag team championship. They have their own
Women's
championship.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a different promotion. So that's one thing I think that 205 is sort of lacking.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, obviously they don't have a woman roster there, and even a tag team division. But then again, they would probably need more wrestlers.
I think so.
So, yeah. I mean, wouldn't be surprised if 205 kind of disbanded within the end of the year, because really, it's a great idea to have like a cruiserweight show, but at the end of the day, it's like, what more can you do?
Yeah, exactly. Before NXT came about, and they had Florida Championship Wrestling and Deep South Wrestling and Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Yes.
They were helping develop wrestlers to come to WWE, but they were their own separate thing.
Right.
Which is along the same lines as what NXT is now.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Deep South and Ohio Valley and Florida Championship may not have been on the same level as what NXT is now, but, I watched several episodes of Deep South, and I've seen a little bit of Ohio Valley Wrestling as well. Not too much of Florida Championship Wrestling, but see just the Ohio Valley Wrestling and the Deep South Wrestling, and you'd be amazed at the number of guys on the WWE roster right now, or maybe that were on the WWE roster, that either came from Ohio Valley Wrestling or Deep South Wrestling.
Exactly.
I mean, John Cena, Randy Orton, Shelton Benjamin, Brock Lesnar, Connor of the Ascension, Miz. Who else can I think of offhand? Batista.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
CM Punk, but
kinda, yeah.
Just digress from there. Yeah, and you get also wrestlers from independent promotions.
Right.
Like a Bryan Danielson, or Johnny Gargano, or guys that were in Ring of Honor, like Tommaso Ciampa, Adam Cole, Red Dragon,
Roderick Strong,
Kevin Steen,
Sami Zayn,
Cesaro. Just these guys that really, I guess, paid their dues and are now doing what they should be doing. They deserve to be in WWE.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's kind of like, yeah, the company isn't as great as it used to be, but we're getting there. Like, we're getting back to professional wrestling the way it should be.
Yeah.
And I think that's where NXT is great, because there's no bullshit. There's just wrestling. Yeah, they do have backstage segments, but there's no real filler, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, they'll have the odd backstage interview, and they've got that Street Profits thing going, and they might occasionally show something that happened at the Performance Center and maybe have somebody in the ring cutting a promo or whatever, but for the most part, it's straight up wrestling.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which is good to see.
Very, very good. Very refreshing.
Yeah.
Because storylines are fine, but sometimes when they don't go anywhere, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that goes for any promotion too. Like Impact, it's kind of all over the place. You have Border City Wrestling, and then you go into AAA, and then you go into another Canadian promotion that I can't think of right now.
Yeah.
You know, so where you're going to Detroit, to their promotion.
Right.
It's like, alright, are you as a company, like, are you a company, or are you just like, I don't know, that's very frustrating at times.
To me, it's one of those things where it's like, Impact Wrestling is expanding themselves.
Yes.
Going to AAA, going to Pro Wrestling Noah, going to Border City Wrestling, going to MCW, going to wrestling promotion in Oklahoma,
Yeah.
or Texas, or wherever.
Pardon the interruption.
Yeah.
Yes, we were talking about different promotions in
Right.
Impact and all that kind of stuff. Basically, yeah, so what I was getting at before, let's talk about what we want to do in the future for
Yeah.
this show. I know that I have talked in the past about wanting to expand a few things, I guess. I think maybe, like, I know I want to eventually do, I guess we could do top 5 favorite matches or so, because there's a lot more that we could add,
Yeah.
you know. It kind of is interesting just to see where that goes. We could do a lot more stuff, and I wish I knew how to do split screens with other people so we could collab with them.
Yeah.
I know there's a thing on YouTube where you could do that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but like for me, don't know how the fuck that works.
Yeah. Last time we did a favorite matches video, we had talked about doing a top 10, but we kind of both had our own 10 matches, so it ended up being like a top 20. So I think if we're going to do a top 10 again, we should both come up with 5 to make it a little easier.
Yeah.
We had also talked about doing a video on who we feel should be in the WWE Hall of Fame that isn't in the Hall of Fame yet. Now that could very well come up within the next few weeks because, well, WrestleMania is fastly approaching.
Well, I was actually thinking, because once again I forgot that FASTLANE was next week, so
Right.
the plans for right now that are on the top of my head, and they could change at any time, but so like next week we talk about the FASTLANE prediction show, then the next week after that we'll go into basically who should be in the Hall of Fame in the future. I'll say a week after that we'll have a look back at WrestleMania 30.
Yes.
So that's going to be interesting
Yes.
because it was kind of a show that wasn't what I really expected, and we'll get into that more. But yeah, it was basically a mediocre show. But yeah, I mean, we'll talk into more. We'll do more outside stuff, I'm sure. I originally wanted to do SummerSlam outside, but like we just demonstrated now, my camera probably won't hold that. I need a video camera or some shit, but
Yeah, because you were telling me you plugged in your digital camera for like 2 days, which is 48 hours. We got like almost 30-minute video off of it. And you would think it being plugged in for like 2 days, you get a little longer, but whatever.
Yeah, pretty much that's kind of where we're at this point. We're gonna have to think about what else, and there's a lot of things that we'll get through.
Oh yeah.
WrestleMania's coming up. NXT New Orleans is coming up.
New Orleans, yeah.
And it's gonna be fucking awesome. I can't wait. So there's a lot to like talk about, and like who knows. I am very happy that we got to do a year anniversary show.
Yeah.
And how many more is to come?
Who knows?
Who knows? So, is there anything else you'd like to say?
I think when we initially talk about who we'd like to see in the Hall of Fame in the future, we could kind of do an overview of who's going in the Hall of Fame this year and give our thoughts and our opinion on the inductees and
Oh yeah, that'll be interesting.
just see whether or not we both have the same thoughts as who we'd want to see in the Hall of Fame, or maybe one of us will have somebody the other person didn't think of, or just
Okay.
one person will have something totally different from the other person. Who knows?
Yeah. There's definitely going to be disagreements, so...
Probably.
And you know there always will be, so...
Yeah, generally.
And that's kind of what I like about doing something like this. I was in the hospital and I was talking to some friends of mine, and I thought when we were just shooting the shit about wrestling and what was up, because I kind of missed some of it when I was in the hospital.
Right.
Sometimes, so it was kind of difficult to, but it was kind of cool as well, and I thought, you know, I'm on YouTube, it would be awesome to just do a show and stuff like that and just talk about it with other people. Little did I know that I'd be moving to Peterborough and I'd meet Killer Kyle, and this would happen, which I'm very grateful for.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. Very cool.
And, you know, I think another thing about it is, too, that if we do disagree on something, we've become good enough friends where we might get heated about it, but we generally won't go too far with it, like too far overboard.
Yeah, where I end up stabbing you in the neck after a video.
Or, you know... Yeah. One of us punches the other one in the face or something.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what a show like this is. I mean, it's not popular by any means, and I never did this for money. Like when I first started YouTube, I never even thought about it, but it's still an interest. It's still like,
oh yeah,
I just said this now. It's like a personal journal, kind of. But it's also cool because we get to talk about what we like. And I think we should also do other topics as well. Like do a video, maybe top 5 favorite bands that we like. You know, that would be interesting.
Top 5 foods. Top 5 fast food places.
Yeah, fast food places. That would be awesome.
Top 5 alcohols. Just putting it in there.
Well, maybe.
Top 5. I was going to say top 5 sports, but you're not really too much of a sports fan.
Yeah, I kind of wish I was.
I'm not, you know, a huge sports fan, but I follow sports.
Well, I mean, when there's a Jays game on, sometimes I'll watch it if they score big.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm not into baseball or hockey or football or whatever, you know, it's just, I'll watch it if somebody's watching it, but I'm not a major fan. Although, yeah, I used to think I was a Blue Jays fan when I was little. So I will watch them from time to time if they're winning, which isn't too often.
Yeah.
But
We could probably even do top 5 favorite MMA fights, maybe.
yes, and that's another thing, actually. I'm glad you brought that up. Because I was going to suggest, and, you know, fights happen periodically, so it's like, I have to remember, and I never really know who's going to be in, like, say, last year with Big Spig versus St. Pierre.
Yes.
I don't really know who all was going to be in the fight besides that.
Right.
So it's kind of, and sometimes I have my favorite fighters,
Right.
but it's also hard because they're all really good, and sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, they do different things each time they are in the octagon.
Yeah, with so many different fighters, and I said the UFC, for example, there's so many fighters, and they're so good at what they do, and they each have their own style to narrow it down specifically to X number of fighters as your who you might like or who you would say is your favorite can be tricky.
Tricky?
Like complicated.
Hard. Tricky.
Yeah.
Lesson 1, kids, don't make fun of people. But,
don't make fun of people because they can show you up.
oh yeah, it's like Mickey James talking about, oh shit, what was it? She did a promo on Elimination Chamber, and she said something funny.
Oh.
It was a different word, like it was a different word, but
Yeah.
she said it like it was another word.
Yeah.
So, shit. But anyways, yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too, is it's fun to, like, we can insult each other. Well, not really insult each other, but make
We
fun
can
of
poke fun at each
Yeah,
other.
poke fun of each other, make fun of each other. And
Yeah.
that's basically what the Spina Bifida video was all about, is that we're not the type to, like, a lot of people are like, oh, you can't make fun of him because he's disabled or whatever. Hell you can.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think a lot of people generally tend to think that somebody with a disability will take things too seriously. We don't.
No.
We have just as cruel and brash a sense of humor as the rest of
Yeah.
the world.
my mind is so vulgar, it's not funny. And the more we get to know each other, the more you bring that out.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of plans that we're going to do this year, and like I said, WrestleMania is coming up, and
Not that far off now.
no, and it's like, I don't know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
Last year was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
So-
that was fun.
So this year, I don't know, because it's gonna be in New Orleans, and I know from watching 30, and I know we'll get to that, but
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know if it's gonna be as good as there's a lot of hype, but you get a lot of hype, and then there's always a big letdown, so
Yeah.
I don't know what it's gonna be, but anyways, so this is the 1-year anniversary of Wheels of Fury. Again, there's really no question. I ask you people on Twitter. I even ask you people on YouTube sometimes. Write us, we'll ask questions, or answer questions. And there's no fucking questions, so I don't get it.
Yeah, I know. I put out a tweet there last night, and I think yours was some earlier today or
Yeah.
whatever.
So, whatever. It is what it is, but... So, yeah, next week is the FASTLANE prediction show.
Yeah.
And week after that, we'll do Hall of Fame, should be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And then a week after that, unless something changes or whatever, look back at WrestleMania 30.
Yep.
So, for me, Matt, this is Killer Kyle, and here's to another year.
Here's to a year of Wheels of Fury and many more.
Yep. So, I'll talk to you later. Hey, before we go, just want to give a little shout out to Miss WWE Fan 13 watching your video. I think you're a lot more inspirational than anybody else with the struggles that you've gone through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little, you know, I don't know what else to say.
Little shout out to you. Congrats on beating cancer. Your videos are pretty cool and you're a big inspiration to a lot of people, I'm sure. And yeah, little shout out from 2 guys checking out your videos, checking out your story.
Exactly. So, good to know ya. Love your videos.